May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer. And it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Aman. Um, Barakallah Cham Yahweh, and I thank servants of Christ, Mashalom. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for joining me on this evening. Appreciate you. We got a little bit of time before we get ready to go into our meeting on Zoom tonight. Zoom meeting for everybody tonight, by the way. So it's going to say regional meeting, but technically it's for everybody. So prayerfully, you got your Google Calendar invite and all that great stuff. If you need it, if you need more information or whatever the case might be, just let me know. But we appreciate you. How's everybody doing? Come on in. Come on in. We give our honor and praise once again to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. We give our praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, biologist by degree. We're thankful to have you guys on with us today. We appreciate you getting ready for VBS next week. Excited about that. Shirts and bars of soap and all those things should be traveling all around the place. And prayerfully, everybody's going to get everything very soon. And we appreciate you so much. Don't forget about so many different things. And thank you to everybody who's been helping us officially. I've given testimony a couple of times in smaller venues, but my family and I, we were able to do everything we needed to pass and all that. So the house and everything is straight. We thank you guys, and not only us, but gave time for us to take care of others as well. So we very much appreciate you guys, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for helping us. Thank you for prayers, all that, and consistency. I appreciate love, what you guys have done today for us in this time in the season. So we're excited and thankful. We see a couple persons that are even trying to still make orders and everything. If you do, as we said, they probably won't get to you until sometime during the week next week, but we can still make sure the orders get out to you. And we thank you. We appreciate everybody who's on YouTube, everybody who's on the podcast. So much stuff going on today, including me even trying to do the intermission thing, which I admittedly didn't do as well as what I thought would happen in my head, but prayerfully the word was given the way you needed it to be given. And we're thankful and grateful for that. And to give you guys a heads up, we are going to be doing a community fast, all of us fasting together. We're going to do 2 weeks. First week will be intermittent fasting. The second week will be a fruit fast, where we'll be on all fruit, not fasting from fruit. We're going to be on nothing but fruit or fruit. So every man, woman, child, children, etc., you can be with us. And that'll start not next week, but that'll start the week starting on Monday, August the 12th. And we'll get more information as we get closer to that. Praise Yahweh. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Sorry, I'm going to do a little bit of eating in front of you this evening. I'm busy working today. Praising Yah, I'm finally going to get a little bit of rest. So thankful and grateful to each and every one of you, and for each and every one of you. Let's go ahead and get started since we got this meeting tonight at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and turn in our swords to the book of, I believe it's Titus, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no. Titus will be mentioned today, excuse me. And so will Ephesians, and so will Colossians. But let's go to, I believe it's 1 Peter chapter 3, and we'll read verses 1 through 16. Give me a second as I get there with you. Just finish eating some fish. Cool. Hopefully it was well served and well done. I've been learning about some stuff as far as how to make sure that the fish is taken care of, to make sure that less stress hormones are in the fish when you eat it. Praise Yah. So we're going to go ahead and get into a word for the night. Praise Yah. We're going to have some clarification on some things regarding a curse word for many. But if you can go to 1 Peter chapter 3, I think we're going to read verses 1 through 6. 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. Once you have it, say Aman, say I got it, say I'm with you. In the meantime, let's say hello to all, whether you're doing this on YouTube or TikTok. How you doing, Brother TJ, Sister Renee, Sister Akita, Big Bad Wolf, Brother Yosef, Sister Knight, Sister Nadine, Forever Young. Is it Mick the Mixer? Thanks for being part of the community. The Zoom info, Big Bad Wolf, do we have your email and stuff? Do you get Google Calendar invites from us? If not, you can try and look on our link tree, see if you can find 202 number on there on one of the platforms and text us. It should go straight to me, and I can try and make sure that I get it to you before we start. How you doing, Bruda? Ebony, Sister Mignon, Raleezy, Lottie Di, everybody come on in. McCrystal, Sister Deborah. All righty. Hopefully all is well. How you doing, Minister Shante? Hopefully you're safe on the road and your travels, you and your and the babies. Let's go ahead and get ready to get into this dynamic message for this evening. Don't forget, even though we know we packaging it or whatever, please don't forget that we have the great, amongst many other things that SOC has, we have the soap and everything that's out. If you'd like to be able to get some, and even more options as far as body butters and different types of soap as well. This is the Promise soap that Sister Keita has made for us, and that a lot of your donations are going to be given to her company. Some of it even more so than what she's asked for, because we feel like Elder Amina, we told her this. She's a blessing, we'll put it like that, but she's trying to be nice and give some of the stuff for less price than what it should be. So we promise that we'll be giving her what's owed to her very soon. Praise y'all once all this shipping and everything finishes and we can put everything together. But don't forget that you can get your order from her through her. You can go to blessedflamecreations.site. Blessed, BLESSED, flame, FLAME, creations, CREATIONS .site, SITE. Blessed Flames Creations.site. And if for some reason that doesn't work for you, make sure that you text us or whatever, and we'll get you her info, and you can contact her direct, or we can contact her direct. All right. How you doing, Jay? So once again, we are going to 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. We'll say our Bible pledge and get right into this. This is my Bible. This is my sword, and this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yechavach. Aman. In Yahweh's name, amen. All righty. All right, let's go and get into this. We're going once again to 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. It reads as follows. It says, how you doing, Brother Ali? How you doing, Sister Shima? It says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation with fear. That means with reverence, with respect. Whose adorning, let it not be that outward of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on apparel, but the hidden man, the hidden Adam, the hidden man of the heart, what's hidden in her heart, in that which is not corruptible, of a meek and quiet spirit. We're going to make sure we get into these words, which is this in the sight of Elohim of great price. For after this manner, in the old time, the Chakodash, the holy woman, the Chakodash Ayazar, or Ayazar Chakodash, also, who trusted in Elohim, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. We're going to get into that too. Whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. All right. We just read 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. May Yahweh have a blessing to the readers here, especially those who do his most holy word. If you were standing or reverencing the word of Yahweh in any kind of way, you may be seated or go back to what you're doing in the presence of Yah. Thank you for touching and agreeing with us as we read this. How you doing, JH? Tonight, we're going to talk about something specific. And it might sound like we're going to be misogynistic by what we just read, because many of us don't defend the word and treat it correctly. However, tonight we're going to talk about submission, not abuse. And if you were put it another way, submission, semicolon, not abuse. In other words, submission is never abuse, right? Now, abuse. Anybody recall what's a great working definition that we've been given by Holy Ghost as far as what the word abuse is, right? What is abuse? If somebody says something's being abused, what does abuse actually mean? To be abnormally used, right? So when we talk about abuse, we're saying that the sister should not be abnormally used. So obviously, there's no striking, there's no cursing her out, there's no treating her like she's nothing, right? But there is submission, which means to be submitted to the mission, right? So submitted to mission, a wife submitted to mission is never to be abused. But a lot of persons will say abuse has to be abnormal usage. And that's not, or I'm sorry, submission is abnormal usage. However, we're going to run through some scripture because first of all, we're talking about submission. So to be in submission, remember, is to be submitted to a mission or to be underneath a mission, therefore submitted to the mission. We are not called to be submitted to man. It's not submansion. It's not womanship, right? It is submission, submitted to mission, right? Matter of fact, when this word that we see in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1, it's a very interesting word because as much as we try to kind of dance around it to make sure we're not hurting feelings, and I, by the way, don't have any problem with being much nicer than many sisters get. you know, they get so much stuff where they're kind of abused anyways. We should give them some reverence and give them a space to where they can let their guard down for sure, right? That being said, it's this word that's being used here, especially when it starts talking about to be in subjection, literally is saying that you are subject to or subject. Now, anybody remember we talked about what that word ject means, right? We talked about to inject something or to ject, period, right? An objection, even what is a ject? A ject is saying like in something that's doing what? Anybody recall that? We talked about that a while ago. How you doing, Beck? When we talk about just the JECT, if something is going to be eject or eject, if something's ejected, if you object, if something is a subject, what is eject? A JECT. How you doing, Paul? And thank you for the love. Appreciate it. How you doing, ALR? Right. So to be to eject is basically to be inserted, or even not necessarily be inserted. It's to be pushed into. Even matter of fact, let's just double check because I feel like I'm not saying that 100%. Let's make sure we got that 100%. I'm sorry. Okay, so not to be pushed, to be thrown. Excuse me. So if something is ejected, it's thrown. So if it's injected, it's thrown into you. If it's ejected, it's thrown out. If you object something, right, you're saying that there's something that you are against and needs to be thrown, so to speak, right? Eject coming from a Latin root word, or being a Latin root word, basically saying to throw. Now, it wouldn't have been ject. It would have been something more like yect or something like that. But basically, what we know as ject is saying that you're throwing it. Okay. So to be subject to something literally means to be even, now watch this, it sounds abusive, but just roll with me. Subjection, therefore, is something is sub, underneath, or submitted to the mission, even thrown into, or watch this, by free will, has allowed themselves to be thrown into. How you doing, Starbright? So subjection, first of all, can never be abusive because you have a right to say, I will decide to go ahead and be underneath this person, and therefore if they speak, we're going this way, I'll throw myself into it, right? It is a free will thing, right? How you doing, Dre? So it's a free will thing. If I'm subject, if I'm the subject, if I am a subject of the kingdom, then that means that I have of my own free will submitted to the mission of the kingdom, and therefore whenever a decree is made, I'm willing to be thrown or used or pushed in a direction or whatever. Right? How you doing, Ahavaya? Right? Or I'm sorry, Ahavaya. Excuse me. Right? So if I'm subject, it means I'm submitted to a mission that allows me to be thrown. This is a whole different way of looking at it, because here's the deal. We have to be honest now, because those of you who've been with me for years, months, weeks, days, you've heard me be very clear that we are not to abuse our sisters. That being said, the husband is the head of the house. Now, this is not for women. Remember, this is really for wives. And when I'm saying this, I want to be very careful to mention something. This is something that's really going to mess with some of our minds. But this is a command for sure. But this is a command from on high, not to husbands. It's very clear that we put this in here. This command is not given to the husband, so the husband can be like, "I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna show, and I'm gonna." This is not for you. This is talking to the wife, which means that this is Yah's direct decree unto her. This is not a decree for you. Am I saying that you can't ever recognize it, preach it, teach it? Obviously, I don't agree with that. That being said, though, this decree is not for the husband, right? Just like when the Bible says, husbands, love your wives as your husband loved the assembly and gave himself for it. Sisters, that ain't got nothing to do with you, outside of you knowing he's supposed to be your protection, right? But this right here, talking about to be subjected to, is for the sisters, for the wife, right? So this is not a curse word. This is not a right for him to abuse you. This is for you to be subject to somebody, because Yahweh's structure goes like this. Over the head of the wife, right, is the husband, and the head of every husband, or the right, is Yahweh, is Yahashua, or is Yahweh, however you want to look at that, right, is Alacham. That's the order and structure. So that means if you have submitted to the mission of somebody who's not a husband, and you're dealing with some things, or at least not a biblical husband, not a kingdom husband, not an Israelite husband, but you're dealing with some stuff that comes with the non-Israelite or non-spiritual husband, right? Guess what? You submitted to that mission. This is why we should teach this stuff from the beginning. How you doing, Sister Jonah K? How you doing, Big Brother Thomas? Right? And we're not okay, like it's like a curse word. But we are supposed to be subject. You submitted to a mission that now says that your husband is supposed to be able to speak certain things. Period. Right? And if you're not going to do the research, or if you're not going to make a way to ensure that you're in a relationship where that husband is going to watch over you the way he's supposed to, you have submitted to a dangerous mission, or so many a time we submit to a man without a mission. And as we know, a man without a mission is a dangerous man. Right? Your husband who is missionless, who's not submitted to the mission of Yah, even more so, is a danger unto you and to your family. Period. Point blank. Right? And so if you've submitted to this mission, this is where it gets hard. But see, here it talks about the subject. So watch this. So Titus chapter 3, right? And you're going through all this, and you're dealing with what it says specifically there. Let's go back real quick. Titus 3. I'm sorry, I said Titus. 1 Peter 3. And let's see what's going on here. Let's read it exactly for what it is. Let's not add or take away. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection, to your own husbands. So this is not saying even be in subjection to every man. This is not a man over woman thing. This is if you're in a marriage, husband, wife, because over the husband is Yah. That's what it's supposed to be. This is not abusive. This is not abusive language. This is not misogynistic language, right? And watch this. That if any obey not the word, they also may without the word, right? That, watch this, to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives. So this is even more so now getting into you might have chose the wrong one. Right? But it might be your conversation as far as how you speak and present yourself. That might be the thing to change it. Not as soon as you get in a tussle with them or whatever, you ain't nothing, you blah, blah, this and that or whatever. That's not winning over anybody. Oh, hey, how you doing, Mac? Well, we're on all the time. Appreciate you. Right. If you're going to get into this, right. But that's once again, if you say, well, I want to make sure that I have a man that I don't have to worry about that. Okay, sure. You make sure, first of all, don't look for a man, look for a husband. He's supposed to be pre-qualified before he, right? Pre-qualified as a husband. You're supposed to be pre-qualified as a wife. You should be trained in this. You should be recognized in this. You should make sure that there's family and everything put together for this. Right. And it says this about them. It says, while they behold, Hanaya, that means while they pay attention, your to your chaste conversation. That comes with respect. Chaste, talking about your virgin, your chaste, your pure conversation. Right? The way you handle yourself. And watch this, verse 3. Who's adorning? Let it not be that, right? This, watch this. Now, I want to make this clear because a lot of persons use scriptures like this as an excuse to say sisters shouldn't wear makeup at all. They should never have any kind of jewelry on. They should, and that's not biblical. But watch what this says. Who's adorning? Let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold and of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden Adam, the hidden man of the heart, the hidden spirit even of your heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is the sight of Elohim of great price. That's worth a lot of money. It's worth more than money. It's worth more than gold, right? So it's not saying you can't wear earrings, but it's not saying you can't wear adornment. Right? The Bible actually clearly speaks of sisters that wear much adornment and has no problem with it, right? However, the issue is not the fact that you can't have adornment at all. The issue is that some sisters have been taught, that what you wear is more important, right? What you wear physically is more important than what you wear spiritually, right? And it doesn't mean that you cannot have a great personality, even what we might call a strong personality. It's not saying you cannot be strong in your personality, but it's saying that, right, because meekness is talking about what? It's talking about humility. And even when we're talking about quiet's not even talking about that you can't say anything. Quiet is more so, remember the context. Who are persons like Peter and Paul dealing with when they're traveling? Remember, we've dealt with this before when people go, well, the Bible says that a woman should never usurp her authority over man and this and that. What was the context of that? The context of that is that you had a lot of sisters. Look at the communities there and look at the cities that they're in, who are literally, their men go out to war and are dying off all the time, and women start to gain a bunch of money and they start to gossip and they start to talk trash about men. So Paul mentions the gossiping because he's like, it's not the fact that you speak and that's the problem. It's the fact that you speak a lot of things that cause strife, and you've begun to speak down upon men, and you've begun to get to a place to where, well, what do we need them for? And men don't even go to war unless they come to you, because now you've got the money, no problem with it, but you're not even willing to listen to any kind of authority at all. And now that includes who? Your husband. And that's when it gets dangerous. Now, once again, I'm not just talking about what many persons might listen to this later on, or if you're new to this, or if you're somebody who's doing dating and all that, because all that stuff's not even biblical, right? I'm talking to those who are supposed to be kingdom-minded, who are trying to build a nation of strength and trying to do so in many areas, including in your own marriages, right? So if we're gonna talk about these things, we're gonna talk about these items, then that's something that's important even in your own marriage. Is that persons are looking at you, and even those who you swear will never get it, they're not saved enough, they don't study enough, they blah blah, right? What are you willing to provide as a wife, right? In subjection to her husband, in submission, as it would say in Ephesians 5:22. In submission, submitted to the mission of her husband. So this is when it gets key. Once again, what is the mission of your husband? If he doesn't have one, and that is an issue, I'll grant you that. How you doing? Love, thanks for being part of the community. What is the mission of one of your husband? Right? What is it that when Yah speaks to him that you listen to and that you're ready to multiply? And also, if you're subject to something, are you ready to be? See, watch this. Anything that you're not, watch this. Anything that you are subject to, can we go here? I know we don't have as much time as we normally would in the rising, so I'm trying to hit a bunch of points. Forgive me for floating a little bit. However, anything that you are in subject that you are subject to, or anything you are in submission to, you are protected under. Understand? Under the standard, right? Let me say it again. Anyone or anything, any place even that you are subject to or submitted to, you should be protected by. Protection comes with subjection. I can't be protected by the Most High unless I'm a subject of the Most High. I can't be protected by the Most High if I'm not submitted to His mission. I'm not allowed. Many places they don't take this. They just do whatever. But I'm not supposed to preach unless I'm submitted to the Most High and in subjection to Him. Salah. Amen. So if I want to be protected, I must be submitted or in subjection. And that's something I can't dance around too much. Right. And I really don't dance too much. I try to give you the stuff, but I know that there's many different things. There has been a lot of misogynistic stuff. I know there's been misandry stuff and all that. That's not what I'm talking about tonight. Okay. So I know there's been a lot of misogynistic stuff. I know a lot of sisters have been mistreated. I know the system has mistreated you. I know that we have mistreated you. I know that we have been mistaught in how to make sure that we handle things to ensure that you get what you're supposed to get from Yah. I get all those things. I totally get it. I'm not here to argue against it. How you doing, Sister Eska? I'm not here to argue against that. That being said, if you're talking about husband, wife, now once again, the Bible does not say. It said what? How do you get your Hebrew name? I guess we could talk about that some other time. It depends. There's many different ways that you can be granted one. If you're saying, can somebody grant you one, or does Yah give you one, or how do you pronounce your name, Dominique? Maybe we can talk about that another time, or maybe we can try to mention a little bit. Because there's a lot of stuff to that, or maybe we can have a conversation offline about it, or at a Q&A session or any of those items. Sorry, I'm not trying to just skip over you, but it's gonna probably get me. Well, not probably. It's getting me off track. I got to at least make sure I give this message or give enough of the message before I float a little bit more than I'm already floating. But once again, hold on to this. I need you to comprehend. The Bible never declares that every single woman. Right? Every single woman should not be under a man. Every single woman should not be under a man. That's not declared in the Bible. Right? But if you're going to be married, your husband is supposed to be. Now, once again, this is where it gets tricky, because I can't sit up here and act like every sister who's ever gotten married, every single one of them was looking for a kingdom man and was qualified to be a wife before she was found, if she was found at all, and if she just didn't want to make sure that she was seen. We talked about that before too, that one of the big things that there's two things that the sister should recognize, that we're going to talk about Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife, he who finds Aisha, finds Tabah thing and obtaineth favor from Yahweh, from Adon, right? That's great, right? But that implies that he who finds, which means that you should be in a position to be found, right? And you should also be what? A wife. And even when you look at Ephesians 5:22, when it talks about wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands. That's a warning, because a lot of persons don't know, when you even read in the Greek, that word is talking about those who are pre-qualified. In other words, women are supposed to be wives before they're found. So even though the Bible declares it, and that's an Israelite tradition, if you will, or an Israelite command, it also means that other cultures agreed with that if you're going to get married to somebody, you should find a wife. Right? This is why you even see in some movies, in some old type of language, you'll hear a person say stuff like, oh, she would be a great wife. Because if you're going to get married to her, somebody looks and says, okay, she does this, blah, blah. She's known, she takes care, she do this, she be sturdy in this, she be this, blah, blah. She be submitted to mission, yada, yada. She listen to her father, she listen to her mother. Like, okay, yeah, right? Like, they're not just going like, hey, go out on a few dates and see if she becomes one. And then when y'all walk down the aisle, then she'll become your wife. No, like, if you're going to mess with anybody, there is, like, y'all who even try to do this courting thing, courting is just basically saying, are you a wife? Courting is somebody giving you permission to start asking questions. That's what courting is. Courting starts after you go to the parent, you go to the father and the mother, and you say, I would like to have your daughter's hand. Then we're going to start some courting. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, this is why, look, this is why you got to be able to keep, brothers, if you want a wife, we say this all the time, you want to make that great list of all the stuff. Your wife should be this, and she should have this, and she should, her body should look like this, and she should make sure she can get you this many babies, and she should have this skin color, and she should just lay down, and she should do whatever one. Okay, cool. But can you keep that? Keep doesn't mean will she go anywhere else? No, right? If she's your wife, that should already be understood. No, when we say can you keep her, can you make sure, like, if she's supposed to be the best looking woman out there and always making you look great as far as what she's wearing, can you make sure her wardrobe reflects that? This is why a dowry is given. Well, you say traditionally, yeah. I mean, basically, I'm coming off an Israelite tradition. That's what I live. So I don't know about the other stuff, right? Or I'm aware of the other stuff, but I don't know. I'm not intimate with it. I don't live by that standard, right? So if we're going to talk about that's what you're saying, and you want to be the biblical version, you want to do what Yah says, then okay, can you keep her? Her hair should always be blah blah. Okay, can you keep that hairstyle? True, looks don't mean anything if she's black in the heart, sure. But also too, my wife, who has a great heart, I want to make sure that the manifestation shows as well. So my wife she should look dazzling all the time. She should look, because she's dazzling in the heart, right? My wife should be a reflection of what's going on with us, because she is me and I am her. So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to, my wife should be, she should walk, she should be walking with a little pep in her step. You know what I'm saying? If my wife's a reflection of me, you know, she should be adorned with stuff. She's not. It's look. First of all, and here's the deal. This is why, once again, wives be in subjection to your own husbands. You see what I'm saying? Right? Like, she didn't have the standard that she's under is not for everybody. Right? This is why you want to be a wife. See, be a wife and be covered and be subjected to an actual husband, because an actual husband is who your covering is. Yahweh, of course. And yes, your community. And yes, you could say maybe your pastor, rabbi, this and that, but your husband gonna be a covering. You cover him in prayer, he covers you. You right, you're gonna cover him in certain areas, he's gonna cover you in certain areas. And so my wife's standard is not, I'm not really worried about what other men have to say, unless my wife is out here, which she never has been. I've never known her to be. She's never been since she was young, since before she met me. Anybody who knows her is not like this. But unless she's doing something out there that's just crazy and is obviously bringing dishonor to the Most High, to her family, to her children, to myself, to herself, then I, as a jealous husband, not jealous just because, but jealous because she's doing something outside of what allows Yah to work in our lives and work in her life. This is when Elohim is jealous, when we get out there with other stuff, right? But when she's subject to certain things, then it is my responsibility. How you doing, Thoughts with SJ? How you doing, Miss Q? It is my responsibility, therefore, to make sure that which is subject to me is kept. If we taught our sons this, then a lot of the stuff that would happen. Watch it. I'm telling you right now, sisters, if you disagree with me, so be it, right? But sisters, don't leave me hanging on this. If I'm correct, tell me. Let me know, right? And brothers, you can let me know too. But I'm just saying, sisters, I'm about to say something about you. You tell me from. I promise you, brothers don't be thinking this, but I promise you, if we had a mindset to where we taught our children to make sure that we train them up in the way that they should go, so when they grow old, they will not depart. That we train our boys that therefore this is both verses put together. Therefore, never train them to be the lender and never the borrower, since the borrower will always be a servant to the lender. And we taught them what it was to have land. Matter of fact, we did what was biblically accurate, and we made sure that we gave them, their we gave them their inheritance while they yet live. After they've been trained. How you doing, Mad Bear? If we did these things in a righteous fashion and kept it in order correctly, guess what would happen? I'm telling you right now, there's not a sister that wouldn't be in line with somebody to make sure that she's covered. How you doing, Brother Vincent? Now, let me reverse that. Right? Rewind real quick. I didn't mean a sister. Let me say that again. There's not a wife. And we're talking about by our standard. We're talking about, by Yahweh's standard. Right? There's not a wife that would not mind being kept and therefore being subject and helping you to multiply things and making sure that you give direction and she listens to and she makes it law according to Proverbs chapter 1 verse 8 and all these different places. There's not one. The problem is that we put sisters in position to where they don't have that, and then we go, why aren't you doing everything I say 100%? Well, if you're not doing everything 100%, then why should she? You're asking for covenant contract and you're not even going to do. Right? Part of the mission, brothers, is watching over our children. Okay. So she's going to watch my child. What are you supposed to do then? This is why we say stuff on here quite often. And once again, if you've never heard me say this before, don't get so frustrated that you all upset with me. Hear the whole thing out that I'm about to say. There's not a wife. There's not a woman. There's not a helpmeet. There's not a girl, whatever, that desires to, that wants, or that desires to have a job. Right? Right? Let me say this again. There's not a wife who desires to have a job. I didn't say that she can't have one. The Proverbs 31 woman says is said to have a great business. The Proverbs 31 woman, by the way, also has a lot of adornment. If you say that she can't have adornment, well, the Proverbs 31 woman has adornment on. Adornment is not the issue, but there's not a wife that wants to have a job, that wants to have to be the foundation, because she's not created to be the foundation, not of the family. You see what I'm saying? Right? There's not one. I promise you. And all this stuff, the most independent of independent women. I'm independent. I'm independent. If I could give you all the stuff, if I could give you $1 billion, $1 billion lifestyle for the rest of your life, that independent stuff is gonna go away. There's some women to be like, I don't care how much money he made, I'm still independent. I'm gonna still have my job. I mean, there's a few of them out there, but I'm gonna be honest with you. There's about 90. I don't know what the number would be, but I would guess to say 95+% at least, to be safe, women on the planet, if they were introduced to a way to where they could have $1 billion lifestyle. Now, imagine though, watch this. There's some women that don't even need the $1 billion lifestyle, don't even need a 6-figure lifestyle. If you give them a $50,000 a year lifestyle, but they're covered, and you have a mission that says that this $50,000 a year that we have now is going to be used to be able to elevate us to where you will not have to worry about anything, nor will our children, nor will our grandchildren, because that's word. Right? Proverbs 13:22. Everybody always likes to quote the end, that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. But the first part of it says what? The first part of it says that if you have the mindset to have generational wealth and take care of your children's children, then the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. The wicked get your money because the wicked, right? The wicked want to take care of their families. You would think that they wouldn't. And I'm not saying every wicked man takes care of his family, but hear what I'm saying. Wicked men have know to take care of their babies. And there's a lot of so-called wicked men, right, who take care of their children, not a so-called biblical kingdom Israelite men that don't even take care of their families. Right? I still technically am considered to be impoverished, to be poor. Yet my family is fine. We travel, we do certain things. Now, yes, it's with the help of some of you all and stuff like that, but also, to be honest with you, is because we got certain things together that even if the world says we're poor, we have certain things that others don't have. So I don't have to have a 9 to 5, not just because I'm blessed and I'm spirit. Yeah, sure, some of that's great. Just because I'm a Levite, and yeah, that's great. But also, don't be so mystical. We're not practical. Look, I don't have rent. I don't have mortgage. I don't have car payment. We've been there, done that. We're not trying to go back. Anything that we get down the road, it would be lovely if one day we could save up enough money and we're in investments and stuff like that, and save up enough to get an RV and something like that. If we get an RV, I'm not making payments on it. Right? I've gotten to a place to where less is more. And when I make anything, I spend it, because if you spend it, you said the urgency for us to be married is greater than to truly learn the meaning, which is why the rate of divorce is so high. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wealth isn't just money or material things. The fact that I can talk to you guys, and after we finish this live session, I'm gonna get to talk to you guys again on Zoom. That makes me wealthy. I'm gonna get to see you guys smiling and talking and stuff, and we're gonna have a couple smiles, maybe have a laugh or two, things like this. Like, that's wealth. My son can be homeschooled, and I can travel the world, and he can travel with me, and he can get a better education than he does in any of these schools that are out there. That's wealth. I was talking to him about that today. I was like, son, I don't even realize you, like, I was getting on him a little bit, but I was trying to tell him, I don't even think you realize, like, and I'm not trying to, but I'm gonna walk a little heavy with my statement, so be it. I think all of us should feel like this about what Yahweh's doing in our life and what he's called us to be. I was like, your father's one of the greatest on the planet at what he does. And he's trying to set it up to give you something that he didn't have. Before you even think about marriage, you're going to have a work, you're going to have land, you're going to have persons with you, you're going to have friends, family, you're going to have a community that believes in what you believe in. And if I do what I'm supposed to do correctly, prayerfully, you'll have some persons that are living next door to you all around that believe in what you're doing. And you're part of one of the greatest communities I'm biased. I would say the greatest community on the planet. Right? But you're part of one of the greatest communities on the planet to ever exist. Persons that take care of each other, persons that haven't even met each other but sow into each other, persons that have been looking for family, persons that can't wait to sow into each other, that can't wait to support each other's businesses and stuff like that. Like, like, like I'm trying to tell them, like, little bruh, son, you got this. And don't even realize how powerful it is in what you're in. Right? But you got to be but I was telling them, I was trying to show, don't ever stop being subject to it, because this is what protects you. I said, right now you're a child, right? And I was telling them, I don't really do the whole, I'm gonna keep you in a child's place. But as a child, like, remember the protection you have as a child. And I know we got to get ready for the Zoom meeting, so I'm gonna try and close this up. But remember, you are a child, and as such, you are protected by your father. And I was trying to get him to comprehend. He getting to the age to where, he's very peaceful, he's very obedient. Don't get it twisted, right? But he getting to the age and he's starting to hang out with other children now a little bit, as much as we allow him. Yes, as much as we allow him. And he learning some things now. He's having to see some things that he gets to that age. Every boy does, where you want to challenge. Right. One of the reasons why it's important that if you don't have a father, at least have a father figure, because sometimes you need a Negro to get up in your face and help you remind you that you ain't ready for what you think you're ready for. He ain't there yet. He's not even a teenager yet, but he's intelligent. He's getting smarter. He's getting bigger and stronger. He the biggest one out of all the other 9-year-olds. Boy, look like he's 12, 13 years old out there with 9-year-olds. Right. And so he's always looking at certain things, thinks he got the advantage, thinks he doesn't have to. And I'm trying to rein him in. I'm trying to teach him, man, subjection, bruh. Like, your father's here for a reason. I've been there where you've been. You got one of those too. Yeah, I've been there where you've been, son. Like, I know what you talk about. I swear, I know you think that you got this together. I know that you know better. I know that you more, like, I'm not gonna say you smarter, right? But you got more intelligence. You got more information than the average cat out here. I know that you're starting to get, but I'm trying to tell you, son, like, stay in subjection. Because when you try to go outside of the subjection, you go outside of my protection. Same thing is for our wives. We're not trying to abuse or abnormally use the wife. Any man that does that, you're not a man, right? When people say that's toxic masculinity, that's not masculinity. I don't want to be mean or rude. So I won't call it what I was going to call it. I was going to say, for real, that's more femininity, because you feel like you feminine enough to fight a female, because a masculine man ain't fighting no female unless he's literally protecting his life. That's not toxic masculinity. That's just toxic. Ain't nothing masculine about a man putting his hands on a woman just because he mad. You know? So if we have real husbands, then subjection is necessary. Allow a real husband. Now, once again, this is where you have to be careful, sisters. This is why dating is something that we don't do anyway, part of the reason, right? You're not supposed to be subjected to men. You're in subjection to your husband. You're not in submission to every man. Every man that passes you and he says, like, it's foolish for us to be like, yo, sis, go ahead and do blah blah. I'm a man, I say so, and she should just stop what she's doing. No, that's not my mission, bro. What you doing? Right? But you gotta find a man that's submitted to a mission that Yahweh has given him. And this is one of the missing ingredients: is we are missionless men. Oh, these boys are missionless. 50-year-old boys that still don't know what they're gonna do with themselves. 80-year-old boys still trying to figure out how they can get with a 40-year-old. 45-year-old boys leaving wives so they can go ahead and figure out how to get a little girl to control and manipulate, and then get mad at her when she goes from 20 to 30, and then at 30 and he's 60, and she realizes, like, you ain't got nothing to offer. You know, a lot of brothers, they seek little girls. That's why you want girlfriends and stuff. You seek little girls, not just in age, but even in mind, because you're hoping and praying that you'll have somebody that's not smart enough to come against you, not intelligent enough to come against you in any way, and she'll just do whatever you say. Meanwhile, though, now when you need her to step up and do something for you, you don't have that. Right? Anything that's in subjection to you, brother, it deserves your protection. You'll wash the rims on your car. Don't be upset about making sure that you spend $50 on them feet. Your rims don't need to be glistening, right? If you have a choice between your rims glistening and her nails glistening, her nails get to glisten. And I'm trying to tell you, like, look, somebody might say, see, you're so busy talking about the inner, but you keep talking about the outer. No, because it's a manifestation of. I'm just trying to tell you, it's a manifestation of, right? Like, Alma don't really care about having to get all that and be doing all that, but at the end of the day, I even sometimes I press it on her, even if she doesn't want. You know why? Because I know when she finally get her feet done, she's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, thank you, I really like it." You know, she's gonna really like, "Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I really enjoy the fact that I got the manicure." Right? And I know we don't comprehend this, but look, last thing I gotta say, we got to get ready for the Zoom meeting. Very, very last thing, or at least the last point. Look, think of it like this. Your wife, I'm talking about spiritually now. Obviously, she's supposed to be one. I'm not talking about no Drake stuff, right? No Diddy, no Kelly. I'm talking about in a spiritual manner, right? My first daughter is my wife, right? My eldest daughter is an adult. Right, she's the third oldest, and she's an adult, crib and everything. She still contacts daddy. Dad, I'm sorry, this is coming up, blah blah. Now we might have to have a conversation, like, hey, you've been asking me for this a lot. you know, what's going on now? Hey, this is coming up, blah blah. You talk better than this now. You wanted to be by yourself and stuff like that, but she still recognizes that she's still under my protection. But if she don't get the protection, then I got to get some subjection. I got to, okay, hey, baby girl, I know you need, but next time we got to have a conversation about this. Right? How much more so should you do that for your wife? Right? If she's in subjection, sisters, this is why we can't dance around that word. If she's in submission, we can't dance around that word. If you're not in subjection, there is no protection. I mean, I can protect you, but I can only protect you as much as is. I was in a place one time, somebody shooting in a mall. No cap. This, I want to say this might be, I don't remember how many years ago it was. I was in, no cap. I was in a place, somebody shooting in the mall. I don't know for sure if they were shooting. Found out, well, I didn't know then that they were shooting, but basically everybody seems to be running. Everywhere where we are is empty. Gates are starting to go down. They're making announcements telling people to leave, right? And I was with a person at the time, and I'm trying to get them to leave. And I'm former military, right? So I know, like when I go in any place, I'm already thinking, where's the exit at? Where did we come from? Where was the car parked? Was there any dangerous stuff I was seeing already? I'm already making a mental map whenever I go somewhere. This happens with brothers and sisters a lot, right? So I see you, ALR, right? So I know something's going down, and I'm like, let's go. The person I'm with at the time is doing all this stuff. Well, what about this? And what if we go this way and blah, blah? And I'm like sitting there now. I have two options. I didn't take the first option. First option is I could just leave. Like I know where the stuff is. I could just go and leave you. Right? But I can't because I'm not wired that way, right? If I would die for a stranger just because we wore the same uniform, then I wouldn't do the thing for you. Or I would do the same thing for you, right? Especially if we're supposed to be seeing if we're compatible or whatever. So, but literally, we go through all this stuff, and then finally, the exact way I'm telling this person that we need to go is the route that we go, and we finally get out or whatever, and then the person is looking at me, and I was just like, yo, this I don't know, this ain't gonna be able to cut it in this type of position. I was like, literally, your life is on the line, right? Because to be honest, it's our lives on the line, but that's only because I decided to make it our lives. But you put your life in jeopardy because you had to be right instead of just be protected. And I'm trying to tell you right now, this is one of the greatest things, to be protected, right? One of the greatest things. This is why whenever somebody says, what is your opinion on something? I never give my opinion. This is the real reason why. It's not because I'm all this, I'm a boss, I'm I'm better than I can speak. No. It's not because of information I have. I have realized that the burden of proof is not on me. So if I say that Yahweh did this, I tell you exactly what he did. And if he's wrong, then it's on him. If he's right, it's on him. But either way, I'm like, look, all I did was say it. It's one of the best places to be, to be protected, right? To be protected. If I could just, right, is one of the best places you can be. And I'm trying to tell you, if you have a real one, once again, I'm not talking about just any man. But if you got a real one, if you got a warrior out there, if you got somebody that really love you, if you're really ready to go and give up the ghost if necessary, then let him protect you. Put it on him. By the way, if you put it on him and he fails, then it's on him. And if he fails, but he's trying to do righteous things for you, but he happens to trip, then help him up because he tripped trying to help you. But put it on him. If he can't handle it being put on him, then that's his problem. That's what subjection does. I'm not saying be without any free will, but I am saying be willing to be submitted to the mission of Yah that he's given a husband, right? So I just wanted to make that very plain. It wasn't even line upon line, precept upon precept. There's a lot of places I felt we were going to go. Holy Ghost was really particular tonight because we got to make sure that we're in order and we're not trying to use excuses or make excuses to try and allow everybody to dance around what Yahweh's will is. And I would say, fortunately, even if some of you feel it's unfortunate, fortunately, there's covering, there's protection, there's chain of command. And if we do what we're supposed to do, chain of command protects us. Anybody that's been in the military will tell you, if the CO isn't doing what he's supposed to do, but you did what you're supposed to do, let the CO get fired. But you keep on moving. All right. So I appreciate y'all. We're going to get ready for the Zoom session. It should be starting right now. So I'm going to get off here. Thank y'all. And remember that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully, wonderfully made. And you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Take care. We'll talk to you in a little bit on the link. Peace.